Welcome to the MLB Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guys Mo and Nawara in the Midwest. We got Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at a Thursday slate here with a good amount of games to choose from. Not a huge slate, but we do have some of these games in the evening, which is what we like to bring you each and every weekday of this regular season. So make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Have plenty of great content coming your way all summer long. And as we head into this fall, also want you to make sure you check out that odds tool, that checker tool that we have for you on thelines.com. Make sure you are shopping those lines to the best of your ability. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your area, such as what we have for this Thursday evening slate. Gentlemen, the first evening game we have here is the Reds. Justin Dunn at the Phillies. Aaron Nola minus 305. The Phillies continue to be huge favorites there at home. The Tri-Sox in the game we're going to talk about here, Lance Lynn against Baltimore's Jordan Lyles in Baltimore, minus 105 for the O's in that one. The Rockies and Ryan Feltner are in New York taking on DeGrom and the Mets, minus 410, huge favorites for the Metropolitans at home. Kevin Gossman and the Blue Jays in Boston, a game we will talk about as well. Cutter Crawford, minus 175 for the Blue Jays against Crawford and the Red Sox at home at Fenway there. The Twins and Chris Archer are in Houston taking on Luis Garcia. Minus 180 for the Stros at home there. We got the Yankees and the A's capping off the night here. Jaimes Taillon and the Yankees are in Oakland taking on James Kepler-Leon and those Athletics. Minus 215 there on the money line for the Yanks, gentlemen. So kicking things off with the game we are going to talk about here with those White Sox and Lance Lynn against Jordan Lyles and the Orioles in Baltimore. A total of 8.5 here. Nate, kick us off here with Lynn, that veteran that we are going to be tracking here in this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty even pitch matchup, I guess you could tell by the line here, which is a complete toss-up as it opens. But maybe not completely even. It's the difference here is in the lineup and in the progression that we're seeing finally from the White Sox starting to produce. And the Orioles, great story as they've been, still don't have the same amount of talent, and we've seen that the last couple of games in this series. I think it's another good opportunity in a coin flip line to back the White Sox, to back the veteran Lance Lynn, whose approach is just, I'm going to walk no one, I'm going to throw my fastball, maybe he'll hit a dinger, but there's not going to be anyone on base, god damn it. And the estimators seem to like that. I mean, Sierra's full 2 runs lower than his actual ERA. He's got the best swinging strike rate of his career, and the velocity, which you got to watch closely with a guy like that, is starting to rise. In his last 4, he's basically averaged around 94 miles per hour, which is at least where he needs to be. And the White Sox offense is really what I think I lean towards more here. I mean, maybe thinking about the over, although it's been dancing around that with the O's bullpen performing so well, but they're hitting 282 with a 112 rated runs created plus in the last 2 weeks now. Getting some guys back in there, including Luis Robert, and that doesn't even count the solid performance on Wednesday night as we record this. So Jordan Lyles, he really earns that 330 BABIP we've seen. His exit velocity is very high. His ground ball rate has been below 30% in his last 4. Throwing his changeup more and more this year. It rates -8. And the White Sox, I mentioned, they're good against the slider lately. They've been good against the changeup lately, too. So I think they will be able to stay ahead in this matchup. And the sense of urgency for this team now to try to climb into the playoff race here. I like backing them here when you get a coin flip line.
Yeah, I do lean White Sox also here, but it's not enough value for me to bet. I'm looking for something around plus 100 before I pull the trigger on the White Sox. So I'll be looking to see where this line moves overnight. I would say the thing that has me concerned mainly about the White Sox is actually that slight dip that Lynn's velocity took. It did go from, it was sitting like close to 94, like you said, and it went down to 93.2 in his last start. Just something to keep an eye on. I do see some definite advantages here. I've talked about it the last couple of days when I like the White Sox. I do think they have a better lineup than the Orioles. And one nice thing for them here in this spot is the Orioles are putrid against the fastball, and we know Lynn's been very fastball heavy in the past. Not quite as much this year. Seems like as he ages a little bit and maybe loses a little bit of juice off the fastball, he's trying to work in some other pitches a little more often. But maybe this is a matchup where he can just go fastball heavy and do just fine again. So looking to see where the line moves overnight on this one, but lean to the White Sox as well.
A line there, and obviously this is a close line that we will be monitoring and does needs to be eyed there. Another one that I suppose you want to eye in terms of watching line movement in that Blue Jays and Red Sox game in Boston, mostly just to see exactly what that it's going to end at for the Blue Jays. Probably want to pounce on it before too long, because I do see plenty of reason to feel pretty good to bet against your team there, Nate, and the Boston Sox there. Gausman already won, I believe, 3 or 4 starts, had picked up the win against those Sox this season, pitching really, really well right now, a sub-2 ERA against those Red Sox. And look, I mean, right now it kind of seems like it might be about time to wave the white flag. I would love to hear what you think, obviously, about that, Nate. But Chris Sale out for the season. Other key starters that are sort of getting spots started here and there with their injuries in terms of Eovaldi, even Michael Wacha. They're sort of seeming to keep Bogarts out of the lineup at time, as well as Devers having to do so. And Cutter Crawford has definitely not proven to be a major league starter, especially in his last 5 starts with a roughly 6+ ERA in that time. So at -170, where I believe the line currently sits for those visiting Blue Jays, Mo, tell me what it is that I would do, why it is that I would even consider betting on the Red Sox, or is this a clear runaway favorite? Just take the Blue Jays, and it's just a matter of how high do you want to take it?
For me, it's a stay away right now, but similar to the White Sox, there's a little bit of value I see on Toronto, but it's not enough for me to pull the trigger. But I'm definitely wondering if I'm this is a weird game. It's a really hard game to cap. So I definitely could be way off, and maybe the Blue Jays should be like -220 here, because the Red Sox have an absolute, I mean, it's getting to be like train wreck territory with these injuries. I thought they were joking when someone texted me that Bobby Dalbec played shortstop today for Boston, but that actually happened. Yeah, Bobby Dalbec actually played shortstop for them. So Xander Bogaerts sat, and so did Christian Arroyo. I think he would normally be the backup shortstop, but they're not on the IL, so they're both listed day to day. I don't know, maybe they'll play tomorrow. But Tommy Pham's also out right now, and then in addition to that, Eric Hosmer already went on the IL, and Trevor Story's still on the IL. I mean, this is like pretty crazy. This is like 5-6 starting.
That's a lot of shortstops.
This is bad. Okay, Bobby Dalbec playing shortstop is completely insane. So this is like one of those outlier scenarios that maybe I can't even take into account how bad that could possibly be. Cutter Crawford's actually been decent, but yeah, Gausman's great, and Boston is very bad against the splitter, which is something I always look at with Gausman starts. So I have it as like the Jays should be like -180. So if you want the thinnest of edges, you could fire Jays if my numbers are right, but it's possible that I'm a little off on this one.
Yeah, I also see Crawford as a decent pitcher, definitely better than he's shown these last 3 times out, just getting absolutely pummeled. And he does match up well against the Jays in terms of, he's mostly vulnerable against lefties. Jays almost throw no lefties at you, but they still pecked away and got a few runs against him when they faced him in July. That Red Sox bullpen is the worst in the majors over the last month. Their entire staff is the worst you can find, but particularly because Garrett Whitlock went 2 innings tonight. Matt Barnes also pitched, so they're going to be thinner there if Crawford does come out early. And Gausman, yeah, I mean, so good against lefties, and if Devers is really the only bat left that you really have to fear here, I mean, at least the best bat, that matches up well. He's been fantastic. 4 starts against Boston this year, 3-0, 1.38 ERA, 12.8 K per 9. His minuscule home run to fly ball ratio is great when you go to Fenway. And since he last pitched at Fenway, he has 21 shutout innings on the road. Blue Jays are now 12-3 against Boston this year. Boston is depleted. Blue Jays are ascending. They got Springer back at top of that lineup. So, I mean, you can slice the odds all you want, Mo, but if one team's almost guaranteed to win, I like that bet. I like it at least as a parlay here. When you look at all these minus 200s on the board here on a Thursday night, maybe you just want to pair a few of those together when you feel like they're very likely to pull out the win.
Absolutely. And finishing things off here on this night, guys, we've got a game back in Houston. The Twins are plus 154. They got Chris Archer on the mound against Luis Garcia, who is, I think, undoubtedly the better pitcher in this one. Chris Archer continuing to struggle to make it past roughly 4 innings or so, and that Twins bullpen hasn't exactly been super stellar or reliable at this point. We've also got the sad news, obviously, of Byron Buxton being officially on the IL as of Tuesday, taking a humongous cog out of the middle of that lineup that was super crucial, as we know, one of the best hitters that we've seen this season. So at this point, I don't know what it is that you would feel comfortable betting on Minnesota with. This one sits at minus 180 for Luis Garcia, continuing to pitch really well. A total of 8.5. Nate, what are you eyeing in this one?
I think my first inclination would be the Astros run line at 4.5. We were talking about the over in general, but yeah, that Twins lineup hasn't been producing that much. They did come alive late here. Basically, the last 2 games of this series, they threatened late and almost pulled across a few late, so you could get a bad beat there if you do take the under. But yeah, I think it's the Astros at home. It's another minus 180. You know, what I just said with the Blue Jays at minus 180. You put the two of them together, you'll get plus odds on that money line because you got Chris Archer going there. And I'm actually surprised to see he hasn't slowed down. He's actually ramped up with the strike at 27% K rate since the second half started. But, still not pitching well in the clutch at all. 50% strand rate. He really struggles in right versus right matchups, 40% hard contact. So that's probably a main reason why when he faced Houston, he couldn't get through 4 innings, which is, sometimes all Minnie asks of him is go through that 4, but he gave up 4 earned. I think it's a real tough matchup for him. And Garcia has done a good job limiting hard contact, actually allowed 0 barrels in 2 of his last 3 starts and 5 total in 6 starts. So he's been a bit unlucky to give up the runs he has. So I think Houston will hold the lead here basically throughout this game, and that bullpen's back on track, so they'll probably hold on for a win.
Yeah, this is definitely the closest one to a bet for me is definitely Houston. I'm looking at Houston. Honestly, the only thing that gives me pause here is Luis Garcia is so cutter heavy, and Minnesota's been really, really good against cutters. They're top 5 against the cutter this year. But overall, yeah, Chris Archer's peripherals are terrible. 25.4% called strike plus whiffs. That's well below average. His first strike rate is putrid, 55%. And his chase rate is absolutely awful, 24.4%. So he's just not doing anything well, really. His ERA is outpacing all of his peripherals by quite a bit. Definitely looks like a guy who could get shelled at any given moment to correct some of this. And you also pointed out they dipped into the bullpen pretty heavy today. Michael Fulmer fired 23 pitches. I would guess he's not available. Devin Smeltzer, they just called him up to be the long man. He fired 2 innings. I don't know that they have anything close to their full bullpen for this, and they're going to need it because of Archer's length issues, like you said. But yeah, I also think the Minnesota bats could produce here if that number is real against cutters. I mean, with cutters, it's always a bit tricky because I think the sample sizes are probably smaller than for a lot of the pitches. But I do see some potential for this to go over, and I think, Houston might even be a little bit correlated with over. So that might be something to look into as well.
Yeah, I mean, they've been red hot and continue to be as they overtook the Yanks and continue to kind of soar past them for that number 1 spot there in the AL. And that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Continue to follow along with us as we are bringing you these videos each and every weekday of this MLB regular season. So until we see you next, happy betting.